Let's be real, man. It is our 4-year anniversary on this exact date, 2018, July 2nd, 2018.
Really?
So,
Look at that.
That was the
Man,
4. Okay.
let's go.
4 years
Here.
ago.
That's
And we
wild.
old. We
The
see you
dream
in
and the
college.
truth, man.
started in the studio, man.
Man.
But we got some great topics ahead, man. Let's get to it. All right. As y'all know, NBA, a lot of stuff going on this week. We got to start with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Brooklyn Nets, whatever is going on with all of them, whatever is going on right now. But to get the storyline straight, unless you've been sleeping under a rock, it all started with plenty of rumors about Kyrie, him possibly declining his player option for $37 million, signed with the Lakers for $6 million, and yada, yada, yada. He ends up opting into his player option. But then, about 2 days after, on the first day of free agency, Kevin Durant demands a trade from the Brooklyn Nets, and some say it's because Kyrie pretty much opted into the player option to keep the money, and then he's trying to force his way to the Lakers, which is block out for the teams from trying to go for him. Then Kevin Durant decided that he wants out as well, and he has 4 years left on his deal. And his top teams that he want to go to is the Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat. So what to make of everything going on with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and the Brooklyn Nets this week? Start with Skyler, go to Trevor, Sheedy, then Tuke.
Oh no. We need to start with the Kevin
Oh, you
Durant
want to start
fan
with
of
Tuke?
the show.
No. I want to start with the man that got the Nets hat on.
No, start with the
No,
Kevin
start with
Durant
the man
fan
that
of the
got the
show.
Captain gave the order. We're gonna listen to the captain.
No.
I'm on mute.
You going last? Dog.
Flag on the play. Flag on the
mute.
play.
Captain gave orders.
So is it still on me at that point?
Captain gave his orders. I'm on mute.
we'll see how long that lasts. He's on mute. But what a change of events from the time that the Brooklyn Nets was formed, from the time in which Kevin Durant decided that he would leave the Golden State Warriors to go to the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving, to the time where James Harden forced his way out of Houston to then be traded to the Brooklyn Nets. There were conversations about that potentially could be the best big three in NBA history. There were talks about that team potentially winning multiple championship rings. There were talks and conversations around the Brooklyn Nets beating the Boston Celtics in his most recent playoffs. Most recent playoffs. I should start it at 2. So now here we are, where in which this Brooklyn Nets team, or this version of the Brooklyn Nets team, has only won one playoff series in the time that they've been together. I'm not even sure if they, as a big three, which is James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, have played 20 games together. That's a lot. Well, that's actually not a lot. But it's a lot in terms of, like, there's a lot of money that was spent to put the team together. There's a lot of time into making sure that Steve Nash was the coach, them signing off on that. There was the whole thing with Kyrie Irving deciding not to get vaccinated. And I think from there, that's where things went awry. You know, James Harden, it seemed as if he had issues with Kyrie Irving deciding when and when not to show up. You could definitely see that there were times where even Kevin Durant was frustrated, even with James Harden, because he came into camp, or he came to the team not healthy. So now here we are, where Kyrie Irving, where target you mentioned, there was talks of him potentially not even opting into that $36 million contract, or him opting into that contract to even potentially take a huge discount and pay for the Lakers or play for the Heat or whomever he had on his list. So now he's opting in to take that money, which I think is the right thing to do. Nobody, I don't think in their right mind would turn down $30 million for whatever the reason it may be. That's a lot of money to turn down. So in my opinion, I think he did the right thing. As far as how Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are going about this, they may not understand, in my opinion, how trading works. I feel like in this situation, neither one of them, I think Kyrie probably has more leverage than KD. Because in a sense, nobody would want to trade for Kyrie Irving, and especially pay him that much money. I think there are more teams willing to call Kevin Durant and give up whatever Brooklyn is willing to take on, versus, trying to figure out a deal for Kyrie Irving. At the end of the day, it's a sad situation. It's a sad situation that, as everything I've already mentioned, that this team could not again win more than one playoff series in the Eastern Conference. They never once made it to a finals. Did they not even make a conference finals, if I'm mistaken? I don't even think they did that. So it'll be interesting to see how the next few weeks play out. But I think at the end of the day, if you're Sean Marks, like in my opinion, I would trade everybody. I would trade Kevin Durant. I would trade Kyrie Irving. And you, in a sense, I'm not sure if you want to build around Ben Simmons with all of that. So in my opinion, I would trade him as well to clear out everything and try to get some of those draft picks that you so righteously gave up to Houston. Try to get some of that stuff back. So it'll be interesting to see how the next few days and weeks play out.
Yeah, it's a sad situation indeed. It's a sad situation created by Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So I absolutely have no remorse for KD or Kyrie in this situation. Y'all made this bed, you got to sleep in it. To Skylar's point, a lot of this probably came about within the recent time due to Kyrie Irving's decision not to get vaccinated. Nothing against that. That's his decision, but in due time, that eventually hurt the Brooklyn Nets. I just feel at this point, you have some, I guess you have some leverage with Kyrie Irving at this point, but I honestly don't think a deal with the Lakers is going to work because essentially they're just trying to dump Russell Westbrook on the Nets. And if I'm Brooklyn, I'm standing firm and saying, no, I'm not taking Russell Westbrook. Your best possibility for Kyrie Irving is to trade him to one of these bad teams that's looking to rebuild. They buy him out and then just let him go wherever he damn well pleases. He wants to go to the Lakers. He can go to the Lakers for $6 million after receiving a buyout from like the Pistons or somebody. As far as Kevin Durant is concerned, you're not, I'm just gonna put it like this, you're not giving Kevin Durant without giving up something of importance in return. So his preferred list was Miami and I think it was Miami and Phoenix. You're not going to Miami unless you're getting rid of Bam. And there's a salary cap rule saying that you can't trade for Bam. So in that situation, it's a package deal. It becomes a package deal to where KD and Ben Simmons will have to go to Miami. And Miami doesn't want to do business with Ben Simmons. The same thing can pretty much be said about Phoenix because if anybody is smart, if I'm Sean Marks, I'm asking for Devin Booker. It's just plain and simple in the deal. And with the same salary cap rule, it's a package deal for Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons. And Phoenix doesn't want to deal with Ben Simmons. So essentially, like I said before, man, these two made this bed. They got to sleep in it. If I'm Sean Marks, I'm telling Kyrie, if you opted in this deal, which was smart. I think we all can agree there. You can either play for the Nets and collect your full contract, or if you want out, I'm flipping you to the Pistons. The Pistons can buy you out. They can give you however much your buyout is going to be, and you can go to the Lakers where you want to go and sign for $6 million. If I'm Kevin Durant at this point, you got to play this out. It's just plain and simple because you're not going to finesse another team. You're not going to finesse yourself to a team a la Phoenix or Miami without him having to give up some of importance. There was reports out that he only wanted to play with Jimmy, Bam, and Kyle Lowry. That's not finna happen. One of those three, if not two of those three, is gonna come off of Miami. So at this point, if I'm Kevin Durant, you just got to play this out. And we know the whole thing with Golden State. We know that bothers him to a T. He may not say it, nobody may not report it, but Golden State winning the championship this season really bothers him. And if he wants to establish a quote-unquote legacy that took a hit after this Warriors championship, he's going to have to play out these last 4 years in Brooklyn and just trust Brooklyn enough to build a legit team around him. Like, y'all had a legit team when you and Kyrie got there, and y'all basically traded everybody away just to get James Harden and Ben Simmons, and that didn't work out. Y'all had a decent coach, but you fired him because he wouldn't start DeAndre Jordan. But let's just be honest. If you had a choice between DeAndre Jordan and Jared Allen, you started Jared Allen. So at the end of the day, y'all made this mess. Y'all got to sleep in it. And again, it's sad, but it was created by these two. And the best ability, as I always say, is availability. The second best ability is accountability. And I need Kevin Durant to hold himself accountable for that. Simple as that.
I like those abilities you have right there, brother. Superpowers. What I want to say first is, speaking about the Nets in totality, if that coach, to me personally, it was African American, he would be on a hot seat right now for getting swept. And we have not, no one said anything about Steve Nash and his coaching, so to speak, within this last series. Now, into the trade talk. I think both have leverage. It depends on who gets traded first. Right now, KD should have way more value than Kyrie, especially after the Rudy Gobert trade for damn near 5 first-round picks and a house. And anyone's going to tell you KD is a better player than Rudy Gobert, so of course I think that there's more value there. I hear about it again. The requesting a trade. He's got 4 years left on his contract, so of course the Nets are going to want something reliable in compensation. Another team not mentioned yet already is the Raptors too, for what they have with their assets, and they're out of kind of nowhere, so to speak, as well. But the piece is going to be Kyrie first. I think Kyrie has to go first, whether it's to the Lakers, whether you're the third team at the end of there. That's going to have to happen. And then to your point, Trevor, KD waits it out a little bit. And KD might be the second one to get traded, but their GM is pretty sold on not having both of them, from the remarks that I've seen personally. I think he was kind of fed up with how they were or how they've been. And even KD tweeting today about, real people know how we're just locked in the gym and they know what it really is, so to speak. And so the mentality is different. I think it's just shifted away from Brooklyn. And Brooklyn, man, Brooklyn hasn't sneezed at the finals since J. Kidd and Richard Jefferson. And, they traded the house for Paul Pierce in his 23rd year, and KG in his 68th. Then. And so over the years, this organization is just not a team that you really get scared about or as a dynasty, but this seemed to be the dynasty to work. You've mentioned the trio of James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, but now they have Ben Simmons, and now Ben Simmons doesn't even get a chance to play, it seems like, with the other two. So this might be a bust altogether, but maybe they build around Ben Simmons instead and trust that process for that. And in regards to, I'm one of the resident Heat fans here. If it takes two of those players to get KD, as long as one of them ain't Jimmy, I'm actually sold on that. But I'm going to pass the mic, though, because I really can't wait to hear what Tuke has to say.
So I'm going to go next so Tuke can go dead last on this topic. But I just wrote the article, What Is Over What If? And literally last year, I actually wrote about that in the article. I was like, we can do it every single year. And last year was key what is over what if. Both Kyrie and James Harden got hurt in the second round against Milwaukee, and they lost in Game 7 in overtime. Literally, that team might have walked to a championship if that never happens. But we live in what is over what ifs. What is they didn't win. They lost in the second round. They didn't make the conference finals to play against Atlanta, who they probably would have swept. This season, they're whatever happened, Kyrie didn't take the vaccine. New York didn't want to change the rules. They had to deal with the whole city of New York, the whole state of New York. Kyrie decided not to take the vaccine. They led James Harden demand in trade. That led to Ben Simmons and his whole situation coming over, and Ben Simmons still not playing. Who built around Ben Simmons? Yeah, I'm like Trevor. He made the trolling off a while back saying Ben Simmons won't play another game. I'm actually. That wasn't a troll. I'm actually on that boat. I don't see him playing. I think he about to use some type of medical waiver. He about to get all his money. He better try to find a way to finesse the system and not play again, as far as I know.
Well, I say he still has a grievance against the Sixers to collect the money from last season. I don't even know if that's been resolved or not. Bro would not play another game in the NBA. I'm telling y'all now, it is a wrap for Ben Simmons.
Exactly. And then the trade with Kevin Durant's contract with him signing, and don't trade from Ben Simmons. Now this actually hurts them now because all like Miami, you can't trade Bam. I'll trade Bam in a heartbeat. Like we saw Bam in the playoffs, inconsistent. Like Kevin Durant, they ain't no option. The Grizzlies, Jaren Jackson Jr. You can't trade it because it's a rookie. The rule is you can't have two rookie extensions on the same. You can't acquire them through trade. So you all require Ben Simmons. So you can't, like the Grizzlies, you can't offer Triple J, who contract would match better, because after that, I think we got Steven Adams with the next highest contract. Then like Miami, after Bam, they ain't about to accept no Kyle Lowry as the star of the deal or Tyler Hero. Like, let's just keep it 100. Even Phoenix, they can't trade Devin Booker in that deal, even though they wouldn't even want to trade Devin Booker. So what's the man's name? Brian Windhorst did make a case that a third team just had to get involved. He did make thought that Utah was about to play a big part in all of this. They still could be with Donovan Mitchell. Although he couldn't get traded to Brooklyn either, because it's a lot of players that's knocked out of the deal. They can't get traded for KD. So
yeah,
it's literally almost, I ain't gonna say it's impossible, but it's gonna take a third team. But the problem is, who wants Ben Simmons? Because they essentially got to trade Ben Simmons in order to get a Donovan Mitchell back, in order to get a Devin Booker. That's the only way they're gonna get that player back. They got to trade Ben Simmons to get that contract on their roster, and nobody else ain't gonna take Ben Simmons. So it's gonna be it's hard. It's like the only team that they can truly trade to. It seems like it's Toronto, and ironically the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, believe it or not,
it's like the other things that could be a straight up trade that they could trade them to without having to do a 3 or 4 team trade. As for Kyrie, I mean, I guess he's trying to force his way to the Lakers. Westbrook opted into that $47 million contract, so good luck with halfway. They're gonna find a way to swindle all of that, because Brooklyn said they don't want Russell Westbrook. So if another team takes on
Brooklyn, trade Kyrie to some bad team so they can give him whatever he needs to get in a buyout, and then he can go sign with the Lakers if he wants to go to the Lakers that bad.
But if I'm a bad team, why would I do that? That literally does not help me.
That clears cap space. I mean, it hurts your cap space a little bit, but you're not trying to win right away. So why not? You got the cap space. So
yeah, but then you helping. To your point, sarcastic Skyler's point, why would I heal them out?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like I'm happy to help the Lakers. And I would love to see Kyrie and Russell Westbrook together. The Lakers, that would be hilarious.
That is gonna be hilarious.
That would be a fight waiting to happen.
Now y'all see why I say the Lakers not gonna make the playoffs.
But yeah, man, to go off this, man, Brooklyn, they tried. You can say whether they made the right decision or not on trading for James Harden. They did get rid of some valuable players, from Jared Allen and Karis LeVert, who are both in Cleveland now. Houston was dumb in that trade because they didn't get none of those players back in that trade. They got straight picks. It was 13 trades, so that trade doesn't make sense for all parties. Although the Nets, what if they probably would have won a championship with it, but here's what it is, man. We'll see what happens. I'm just glad we got some great offseason content. And for the people who tried to say NFL had one like fire explosive offseason this offseason, people try to say NFL was better than the NBA offseason. Forgetting, no, the offseason NBA like crushes the NFL. It was like the first year the NFL really just had like an offseason that was like,
you're literally one tweet away from just everything just going right off the rails. But let me shut up and let the resident KD fan have the floor.
Gentlemen, it comes a time when you have to, for the namesake of this podcast, first and foremost, happy 4 years. But for the namesake of the podcast, 34 days is gonna be great. I honestly have no idea what to say. I'm honestly, y'all never probably hear me ever say that, and I'm at a loss of words. And here's why. It's because everything that you brought up a great point, Sharky, with the what is versus what ifs, right? Like, what if, you know what I'm saying, they didn't make that trade back in the day for James Harden? What if Ben Simmons would have played this year? What if but we looking at a what is, and the what is like, I don't know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say because speechless, because I think this was the Nets' chance to really try to prove that they can be a championship team, regardless of what we want to say about Kyrie. If Kyrie would have played last season, if he would have been healthy last season, so on and so forth, that's where the what if come apart, right? But the Nets was trying to get him on a 1-year contract on a prove it deal when we know what Kyrie Irving can do. If Kyrie Irving, the Nets would have threw out a 3-year or 4-year deal at Kyrie Irving, I don't think we have this conversation. But I think the fact that the Nets wanted to give him a 1 year and not sign him for the rest, I guess the remainder of Kevin Durant's contract, because we know how bad they want to play together, they were a package deal. And the fact that you're not trying to have that is why we're here with the Kevin Durant demanding the trade. So as far as leverage go, I think that Kyrie would have the most leverage, but I don't see who makes that trade for Kyrie. Just like right now, I don't see who makes the trade for Kevin Durant. So like I've been saying for the longest, Kyrie ain't going no damn where. A part of me is sticking to it. Kyrie ain't going no damn where. And it's a funny situation to be in. The reason I'm speechless is because we've never seen this before. We never seen two superstars that actually want to play together, try to go their separate ways in the midst of 2 years. Like people throw out he only played 20 games in 2 years. Are we gonna forget about what the something that's never happened before last season with the whole pandemic, whatever you want to call it? That's never happened before. So the fact that people are still using last season for him to take care of himself, knowing that the NBA will be back this season, knowing that it's been 3 champions in the last 2 years, so you damaging these players' bodies. No, bro. The fact that we're still using that is BS to me. But I think that if the Nets would have gave Kyrie a 3-year deal, a 2-year deal, whatever, to finish Kevin Durant's contract out with KD, we wouldn't be here right now. The Nets, even though they traded, in my opinion, they championship away for James Harden, I think he still to be able to get, like a Ben Simmons back, whether or not he play or not, that's on him. And we'll talk about that another day. But the Nets have done a pretty decent job at trying to get back to championship status. Don't look at me like that, because everybody just said if Kyrie and James Harden were healthy not season before last, they probably would have won a championship. That's literally 2 years ago. Last year was the pandemic. You can't count on a pandemic for people having to choose career or lifestyle. We can't count on that. But the fact that the Brooklyn Nets gave Kyrie a 1-year deal, it kind of was like, all right, we fed up with you. And I get it. That's the whole thing. That's why I'm like on speechless, because I get where the Nets are coming from. But if I were the Nets, you got Kyrie Irving and KD for 3-4 years. You got to make the best if you're trying to win. If you're trying to win a championship, you got to keep Kyrie Irving. And that sent the message to KD. And especially if Kyrie's trying to get traded to the Lakers, no way in hell the Lakers not trading Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are not playing on the same team together. That's why we got the Kevin Durant trade, and I think that's where we get now. But overall, I'm speechless because it's something that we've never seen before.
I'm proud of you for finally coming out and acknowledging that the Brooklyn Nets have done a decent job, because in the past time you've used them as the scapegoat for everything that's going on. When we tried to tell you that this has been primarily Kevin Durant and Kyrie. Now, as far as the Brooklyn Nets, as far as what you said with the 1-year deal, with the prove it deal, I understand why they did it. It is not just because of what happened last season, but him not choosing to get vaccinated. Again, that's his choice. If he wants to do that, that's fine. But you also got to go back to 2020 when he went on his whole rant, when he didn't want to go to the bubble to play and threatened retirement because of everything that was going on with the pandemic, and then eventually with the George Floyd situation. Again, we applaud him for, being woke and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to hoop, we need you to hoop if I'm the Brooklyn Nets. So on a prove it deal, yeah, if I'm Brooklyn, yes, I need you to be.
What does Kyrie Irving have to prove at this point is my thing.
I need you to be able to play 50 plus games.
Also,
I need you to be able to lead my team to a championship. If you have championship aspirations and you are committed to playing basketball, I need you to commit. That's at least giving me at least 55 games.
So am I committing to a regular season, or am I committing to making sure we win in the playoffs?
Both.
Nah.
Because you need the regular season to make the playoffs.
He also has an injury history. It's like every year
yes, and then the injury history as well.
So he missed playoff series, like so.
Yeah. Okay. Sheedy has his hand up. Let's get Sheedy in here.
Yeah, just briefly, gentlemen. I've heard this between Tukin and Trevor thrown around twice, and I'm just confused. When were the Nets championship caliber, whatever, besides back in the early 2000s? In the finals, when they lost both series in the finals, where are we talking about championship caliber Nets? Like legitimately, they haven't been. They've barely been playoff.
Great point, but that's my point. When you have
but what is is greater than what if.
Hey,
That's true.
LBR.com.
Commandment number 4. My thing is, I'll answer Sheedy's question. I think that I want to say it was 2021. Honestly, if that team stays together,
if they don't trade James Harden,
I know. I know. Commandment number 4. I know what is greater than what if.
So, can you name me the last championship season for them? Not even like they won, just to the championship.
Okay, 2005. I understand it. Okay.
I mean, what's your point though in asking that?
You said championship contenders, right? Or what
Yes.
have you? Back to the championship caliber team. They have not been to a championship since 2005. I don't even call the Heat championship contenders, but at least we went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and we've been to the finals in the past, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. The Warriors are championship contenders every year. Like that's what I mean. And the Nets have yet to exceed leaving out the Eastern Conference Finals since 2004. So that's what I meant. That's what
now to your point, I really don't have an answer. So because you're absolutely right there. Because again, I'll be breaking commandment number 4 once again. But hey, it is what it is.
Because at the end of the day, let's just say hypothetically speaking, you went into, if you were us 5, the Brooklyn Nets stood packed and said, we're rolling into this season with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden, and whomever else you want to put on the roster. Are y'all still picking, like, confidently, are you picking them to make it to the finals?
I didn't. I told y'all they weren't gonna make it to the finals.
And essentially, that's where I side with Sheedy is. We understand their greatness, right? But at the end of the day, at some point, Kyrie Irving is either not going to play or going to be hurt. James Harden is going to be hurt or be out of shape, and Kevin Durant is going to do all that he can. But at the end of the day, let's call a spade a spade. He's not the leader that LeBron is. Let's call it what it is. The only time we've seen Kyrie Irving somewhat relatively healthy and being able to win at a consistent level was with who? Was with LeBron James. That's it. And so I get where Sheedy's coming from. At no point since this team has been together were they a championship contender. That's it. I'm good on the, Kevin Durant was, a toe away from getting up to the finals. I'm past though. What if Kyrie Irving would have been healthy for this series? What if James Harden would have been healthy for this series? What if they would have, bro? We passed that. We grown as hell. Like this team was not going to win.
If we really,
this team was not going to win.
Hey, if we really want to be real, it's not just Kyrie and James. It's KD as well. Because KD has had knee injuries.
Yeah, last 2 years
since his time with the Warriors.
Yeah.
So that's another person you gotta wonder as far as availability. So
yeah, I gotta reach out to Austin after this episode, man. We need some merch. What else over what else? What else over what else? Let's get it. Got definitely stamp that one. But let's move on, man. Anybody got anything else, right?
I'm sorry, Brooklyn, but y'all, your stars made this bed. Y'all gotta sleep in it.
The good or should. Yep. Well, it was our 4-year anniversary. If y'all was with us in the beginning, y'all would have known that John Wall was a key topic on our show.
So much so that I started a counter for days without talking about John Wall. That's how bad it had gotten.
Right. We ended up calling him the number 2. This guy that had the famous, man. What was your trolling now? Which number 2 you prefer? Number 2 from Popeyes or John Wall? Number 2 from Washington at the time. Of course, he's not. I know he wasn't number 2 in Houston. I think he was number 11 or number 1. I don't know what his number would be with the Clippers, but he got bought out about it. He opted into his $48 million contract. Then got bought out. I think he only gave $6 million back, so he still got 42. And proceeded to sign with the Clippers on 2-year, I think $13 million deal, if I'm mistaken. Somebody double check it for me. But y'all thoughts about John Wall and he signed it with the Clippers? Same order.
What a solid move. I mean, I can't complain about anything. You opted into your contract to get what you just said, Sharky, $48 million. You opt into that contract. The Rockets are going to buy you out, so you're no longer having to play with the young team. You no longer have to worry about sitting out the entire season. You're going to a playoff contending team, because let's call it a spade, because the Clippers ain't the most healthiest of teams either. But if we're going to strictly just talk about John Wall, I mean, I'm happy for him. He, like I said, he got his money. I'm happy for all these. If nothing else, I'm happy that all of these black NBA players are getting the money they are rightfully deserved. Regardless of if a team should have given them their money or not, Washington Wizards. If a team should have given them that much money anyway, I'm happy these players are getting their money, and I'm happy that the players have the movement that they have available to them in this league. So happy for John Wall, but I'm not sure what the hell this does for the Clippers. If you ask me, I'm not sure what it does for them. Kawhi Leonard hasn't played in 2 years. Paul George can't stay healthy for a full season. They have a really good coach. I ain't gonna talk bad about Tyronn Lue. He's a really good coach, and they're really good, really good defensive minded. Again, let's call a spade a spade. John Wall hasn't been the most healthiest in his career either. So we'll see how this plays out for the Clippers. But for John Wall, I'm happy for him because he can pay.
Skylar, as the resident Lakers fan on this show, if it was easy for the Rockets to buy out John Wall, why won't y'all buy out Russell Westbrook if y'all don't want him on the team so bad?
I think it's the Lakers not wanting to look as bad or to say that I was wrong in trading for Russell Westbrook. I really think
is it the Lakers?
They don't want to look like the Brooklyn Nets.
No. Is it the Lakers or is it LeBron James?
Come on. We just had a whole talk about KD and the Nets, and it's literally the same.
Which doesn't matter.
No, it actually matters.
It matters a lot because
it matters a lot.
Okay,
it matters a lot.
It matters in what way? It matters to what context, I guess. Because I'm not sure how.
No, because I have a whole theory.
Hey,
on the Lakers.
Ryan, you got to talk out for me, bro.
I was just about to say that actually, Ryan. Like it matters. It matters.
Ryan.
Hey, so if y'all know Aston, former LBR, still a part of LBR. He doesn't been on in a couple of years, man. He's still a John Wall fan. He's the one who was on it.
He's doing exactly what John Wall is doing. Actually,
he's trying to make the claim that John Wall, Clay just struggled a little bit this postseason, right? John Wall should be able to have played this past postseason, right? Outside look at the numbers. Clay shot 38.5% from 3 this postseason. John Wall never once shot that in his career. In a struggle postseason with Klay Thompson.
Okay. All right. Well, back to the topic at hand, because I just had to ask that question because it was related to this. Kudos to John Wall. I mean, I've known that he's been wanting to at least get back on the court. I mean, like we say, he hasn't been relatively healthy in a couple of years after getting this huge deal that he got from Washington initially. But of course, we knew he wasn't going to play in Houston that much. Houston's on a full rebuild, so he essentially got what he wanted. He essentially got what he wanted also to went to a playoff contender in the Clippers. Well-coached team, but again, health is a concern. Your two main stars, Paul George can't stay healthy for a regular season. Kawhi Leonard hasn't played in a year and a half at this point. And then, of course, you have your own injury history as well. So, I mean, it's scary if they can stay healthy, but who's to say they're going to stay healthy? Let's just call it what it is. It puts them right back where they were, I guess, as a playoff contender. But I mean, they were in the play-in this last season. They were in the play-in last season. They probably gets them to 5 or 6. Let's just call it what it is. So, I mean, kudos to John Wall. He got his money. I'm all for get your money, and you going to go somewhere where you can actually play and compete. But it doesn't really move the needle much for the Clippers. Like you're pretty much going, like I said, going from the play-in to maybe 5 or 6 5th or 6th in the conference just to avoid the play-in. So, but we'll see how it plays out.
I disagree with that.
You want to go? Go ahead. I want to hear that. That was a good rebuttal.
Because I think that because you do add a legit point guard to Tyronn Lue, I think that I was right about the Suns being a great team. I think this team has a chance to not only be
you can't call the Phoenix Suns a great team just because they make it to a finals one year. Does not equate to.
I mean, I called them maybe in a top seed. Did I?
Right. That's different than being
no. So not okay, great, whatever. Good, they made the final.
Just change the word.
Whatever.
That's it.
But what I'm saying with this addition with the Clippers and the team that they already got, they're going to be above a top 5 team. I think that they're going to be one of health granted for sure. They're going to be they're going to be right there with the Warriors, because if you think about any of the Warrior killers outside of LeBron James, it's freaking Kawhi Leonard. And you got him with an actual team. You got John Wall, don't even have to be the old of himself. He can put up 15 and 7 and it'll impact the Clippers in a way that, I don't think Reggie Jackson could. And you can actually play Reggie and John Wall. Like, you doing all these faces, but didn't Reggie Jackson have a good season last season? Did Norman Powell have a great season last season? And these teams still, regardless of injuries, finished above 500. They didn't make the play-in, which is cool, but you're adding Kawhi Leonard and you adding a John Wall, who's still a special point guard from, even if he's a glimpse of what he used to be in the past. I think this impacts the Clippers a lot. They'll be a top 2, top 3 seed easily.
Okay, no, I'm gonna put you on the spot. So
no,
I'll put you on the spot. Who comes out of the top 4? If the Clippers finish in the top 4, who comes out? If you're going on the standings from this past season, the playoff standings.
He about to say the Suns.
No, Triple J out for like.
I was about to say, I want to say Memphis, and I think I'm gonna say Memphis. But if the Suns do lose DeAndre Ayton, I think that kind of hurts a little bit too, because you do miss that low inside presence that you can have throughout the regular season. But I'm gonna say Memphis because they're losing veterans as well, and I think veterans, the veterans that we had, they were key roles in making us, the number 2 pick, the number 2 seed. Even though we kept ties, which helps. We're losing Slow-Mo, we're losing D-Mel, and that's chemistry that we've had for 3 years. So I do have the Memphis Grizzlies coming out, you know what I'm saying? But it'll be the Warriors, it'll be the Clippers, Suns, whatever.
You could have said the Mavs, but okay.
Mavs too, I guess. But what I'm saying is Clippers.
No, I get it.
Like,
go ahead.
The Clippers, they're gonna be right there. Like, health granted for sure, but they're gonna be right there. And Lito, the reason I said it matters is because they're the best team in LA. Point blank, period. That's why it matters. We're gonna call a spade a spade.
What is? So that's a good segue for me. Thank God.
Thank you.
So I think we skipped around this a little bit, but I think you two previous guys have mentioned it. Tyronn Lue and Skyler. Tyronn Lue has done a fantastic job with the Clippers, X's and O's. And there is not enough credit given to him because he did do this last season without potentially, you just said Kawhi is like a LeBron stopper, so to speak, or up there in that he's a top 5, top 6 player when healthy, fully healthy. He carried the Raptors, you can call it what you want. And so you did this all without Kawhi. They went to the play-in situation. They had a lot of games missed by Paul George as well. And then realistically, they stunk it up after they lost the first playing game. Then they just didn't even care. I think it does move them to like a 5 or 6 as well. First of all, kudos to John Wall. Kudos for you making $40-something million. Thanks for coming back on the court and moving on from there. Now, about the Clippers. What is greater than what if? As it is right now, the Clippers are the better team in LA. Yes. Agreed. Season has not started yet. Balls not ran out. But on paper right now, yes, the Clippers are the better team. And still within that division, I think Scott and I talked about it a little bit before the start of the show. That is a tough division to be in unless, you got the Warriors, the Clippers, the Suns, the Lakers, and the Queens. And so, that's going to be tough in itself. But the John Wall signing, again, moves them out of the play-in scenario because you hope that one of them is at least healthy. Out of those 3 that are very injury prone, you're hoping at least one of them stays relatively healthy for at least over 60 games. But again, that swing now is into the Lakers' court of what do the Lakers do? But the Lakers did a great signing this year that we haven't talked about at all, and that's getting Rasheed Wallace to help out with AD.
Oh, you always got talking about the Lakers, man.
Just like
he started it. I'm sorry, Kendrick Perkins. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too, man. It just no, because the situation is just warranted. Because if Houston, for John Wall to opt in to $48 million and for Houston to buy him out, why won't the Lakers just do the same thing with Russell Westbrook if they don't want him in LA so bad? That's I started that, so I'll take.
Nah, it's a question. I think that they still think somebody would trade for him. Otherwise, John Wall, nobody was trading for him because he getting played. The man played like 80 games in like 5 years. So when nobody trade for that contract from him, I think the Lakers still believe somebody would take on Russ, even like he was talking about Kyrie, like a Detroit or somebody would take on the contract and buy him out. But I guess we'll just see what happens with that situation. But as for John Wall, welcome back to Your Name Being on the Podcast. It's been a while. He ain't been on the court. He got with Houston for a second. Actually, did pretty good before. He actually didn't get hurt last time. He just sat out because they had a young team. They didn't want to play him, and he just kicked it. So I don't blame him. Give the Clippers. I do think I already had the Clippers coming back with Kawhi and having Norman Powell coming off the bench behind Kawhi and Paul George and Robert Covington and Reggie Jackson, and now adding John Wall. I already had them as a championship contender in the top tier in the Western Conference. Kawhi Leonard scares the mess out of me. He's the one that is like Tuke said, he's the Warriors killer. For the Grizzlies there, I mean, Kawhi Leonard is that dude. He's a robot. You can't beat robots, man. But I just do it. Does the sign and swing something? I think it helps some with like, okay, now Reggie Jackson comes off the bench, all right, and now you have both. You have two solid point guards, and John Wall is not healthy. You still have Reggie Jackson. So it just really come down to health. It's still what is or what if. We ain't hit the what if stage, so we don't know if they're gonna be healthy in the future yet. So we are in the what if factor, and I do believe the Clippers are. I'm not gonna say the favorite, like some people are putting them up there, but they because Golden State just won. Golden State still got to be the favorite. But the Clippers are in that top 5. They should be like if the odds come out. I think they're like number 4 in the odds right now. They're up there. That team on paper, they got wings for days. They still got Terrence Mann. Like Luke Kennard, like they deep when you think about it. So, and that's a team that scared me. But before we move on from John Wall, man, shout out to you for making it back on the podcast. And I got a video to share. As Ryan alluded to earlier about him being the best shooter than Klay Thompson. I had to show up for the one time 4-year anniversary.
4 years.
Why not?
4 years.
Why not at this point?
Happy 4 years.
Just go pop up. There we go.
Oh, we talking about spotting up, or we on the move? It's the fact that that's a thing. Are you serious?
I think that's what trolling all like actually came from.
Trolling all
sure.
was born.
I don't think I've ever been trolled that much in my entire life. That was a low moment in my life for real. to be trolled that hard.
So let me ask y'all this: if hypothetically, if John Wall averaged a better 3-point percentage than Klay Thompson, do we apologize to Ashton?
Like I just said, Klay just struggled. Klay just struggled this past postseason, and he still has a
hypothetically.
No. What else?
No.
What else?
No.
And Klay struggled postseason. If John Wall hasn't even shot that, what else?
John Wall can shoot
What
60% from 3 this upcoming season. Klay Thompson can shoot 25% from 3 this season. And I promise you to God, I will not apologize to Ashton. I don't care. No, brother's not getting an apology. No.
Right, you said that in 2018.
John Wall can shoot 67% from 3 this year, and I will not apologize to Ashton. Not.
But the fact that it's what else over what else. It was what else in 2018. It still is what else in 2022.
Exactly.
So, oh man, well, let's take a break, man, with our word from our sponsor. Let's Be Real Media is pleased to announce we are sponsored by Ralph Brand. Ralph culture is surrounded by skates, punk, and hip hop art. We are looking forward to co-designing materials for this journey with them. Please visit ralphbrand.com for purchasing merch now and for future collaborations with Let's Be Real Media. All right, for the people listening to audio, y'all can't see I got Ryan Harris. He's making comments on our live show on YouTube. I tell you, this man just said he'll take Klay's 3-point percentage in elementary school over John Wall shooting.
Oh, that's just disrespectful.
100%.
I got it.
You see what happens when I kill the John Wall counter? How it just open the floodgates. But hey, it is what it is.
Hey, it's all good in the neighborhood. But Skylar, your boy, is he your boy? Your team?
Hey, no, that's his boy.
Emoni Bates.
That's his boy.
That is not my boy. That is not my guy. I'm not sure where y'all.
What's the second best ability, Skylar? Come on now.
Availability.
You was raving about him when he came to Memphis.
We all were.
Right, but that
We all
does
were.
not mean he was my boy.
No.
I ain't know about him.
We all were, but
I'm good.
he was the main guy.
We rave about other people. We rave about players, but that doesn't mean like, oh yeah, that's my guy. Like I'm rocking with him. Like, nah, I never did that.
All right, well, go ahead, man. I'm messing with you. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I know. So Emoni Bates, for those that have somewhat of an interest into the Memphis men's basketball program, has been in local news recently. Has he a few months ago put his name into the transfer portal? There was an interest from him to look into other schools to play in this upcoming year. The interest that he thought he was going to receive was not mutual. In terms of schools that he probably wanted to go to, didn't have an interest in bringing him on, and due to his actions or his, to what Trevor said, lack of availability, and really, in my opinion, lack of improvement from his sophomore, junior year in high school. So Emoni Bates, he decided to play basketball at the University of Memphis on last year. Did not work out well. There were conversations about him having a back injury. There were stories and rumors and things that led to be true in terms of his family not being the best role models in his life, in terms of making some decisions that I feel like were not best for him in his life. So at the end of the day, there was conversations about him potentially coming back. There were reports about him being on campus and him having a conversation along with his dad, with Penny Hardaway, to say what can be done on both of their ends to potentially have Emoni Bates come back and play for the University of Memphis. From what I've heard and from what I have read, Emoni Bates' dad and his family wanted things to go a certain way at University of Memphis, and Penny Hardaway did not agree to that. So with that being said, to the tagline at the bottom, Emoni Bates transferred to Eastern Michigan, where he lived for a majority of his life. So let's just go around. Let's switch it back. Let's start with Sharky first, then Took, Shitty, Trevor, then I'll go last. Like, what are you guys' thoughts, opinions as far as what you've heard about this situation? Are you yet excited? Are you kind of disappointed that he's not coming back?
Man, I'm glad you put me first. I sure was ready to speak my mind a little bit on Emoni's dad. Like, how y'all making demands and you literally, your other option is Eastern Michigan? Like, what sense do they make? What like what kind of demands you saying, hey, Emoni come back to Memphis, this needs to happen? I know Penny said F them folks. I know, I'll tell you that right now. Shout out to Doc Holliday for having Penny on his show. Penny was like, bro, I ain't had no talks with the folks, bro. Go on here, move on. It's unfortunate. I hate it for Emoni. Like, your dad just kind of just like your people just get involved. And it's been like that. Remember when you first signed with Memphis? He was supposed to sign at a certain time. It got leaked earlier. They got mad, so they pushed back the signing, his announcement. And he still announced it at the same time anyway. It was just all there. I've always believed those his people, because just seeing how he interacted with his teammates on the sidelines, he was out and everything. I never saw he's still a player. He still is a high regarded recruit, so I'm sure he has some selfish tendencies, right? But I didn't see like a player who was kind of like all the headlines that you read on him and stuff. I just didn't see that in him. It seemed like he's still a kid. He's just turned 18, I think. So still supposed to be a senior in high school. So he's still growing and developing. So it's just unfortunate his people in this case, we used to get on, a lot of people got on like LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball didn't get this involved. He was always just like celebrating his kids, just trying to say, hey, they're this good. It seems like Emoni dad is almost derailing his career in this sense. I'm not trying to say that's what he's doing, but it's what it feels like. It seems like he's doing. So, hopefully he things happen well Eastern Michigan for him. I'm actually rooting for him. I hope he gets. I hate players who get that highly touted, then they just have a steep fall like this. But am I sad? It don't really matter. Memphis is fine. You got plenty of recruits. You got Keontae Kennedy. You got Akai. You Penny recouped. Emoni wasn't going to start at this point if he came back. That's just the honest truth. He was competing with somebody for a starting spot, and I'm pretty sure that's probably what they demanded that he started. And it's like, I ain't about to guarantee that. Like, I did that last year and saw what happened in the beginning of the season. Lance Notley, all the all the older guys kind of had a problem with it. That's probably what happened in the beginning of the season. It's fine. Hopefully, everything works out for money. Hopefully, his dad and his people do learn and make better moves in the future. And as Memphis, we good. We on the popping.
Way to bring my uncle LeVar into this one, bro, because that's actually who I was gonna bring up as well. Because do you have dads who everybody trying to be like LeVar Ball? I mean, he paid away, but everybody can't be LeVar. You know, LeVar, he come from sports. Like people don't know he actually played, football. Actually played for my Carolina Panthers. So, but as far as like dads go, there's a time when a dad can help your career, like LeVar has done for Lonzo. Like some can say he helped him put him at the number 2 pick, with his talk, and praise. And there comes a time when dads can hurt your career. And in this instance, that's what's happening with Emoni Bates. He's cashing checks that his son really couldn't cash at this point, because even though we saw flashes of potential, what I saw from Emoni Bates last year was just pure inconsistency from a kid who's still learning, who he is as a basketball player. It wasn't much of a team aspect in his game. And it showed. And I think that kind of, the parent, the apple don't fall too far from a tree. And not calling Emoni, a selfish player, but from what I did see, it was kind of like him getting in his own way. And I think Penny kind of felt that as well. So, Sharky, you brought up a point like Memphis good, like we're good. Like Penny's still gonna recruit his ass off. He's still gonna do what he's supposed to be. Maybe the problem. That don't count. Hey man, he got there. He got the $500,000.
Hey, I was about to say, press squad played quite a bit.
You know what I'm saying? But the fact that it's still in them, a lot of people, dads can't say that they play, on the practice squad. But to have 2-3 kids that NBA potential, like, it's crazy. And your voice helped with that. And that, last year or so, we ain't heard nothing from LeVar, because some people told him, hey, it's time for you to kind of chill for a minute, and that's what he's doing. So I think somebody needs to pull up to Emoni and be like, that's, you need to kind of chill, but it's going to be hard for him to do that when you're playing in the exact city that you damn near was, raised in. So I think honestly, him going back to Michigan kind of hurt. Like any kind of instance where you're leaving a top program like Memphis to go back home, to be in those egos, to have all them ears, to, title voices in your ears and everything like that. I think he got a chance to kind of hurt Emoni, but him being in front of his hometown maybe is what he need. But I think this kind of move kind of hurts him instead of help him. But that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, I said this once before. There comes a time where it's time to be a dad, and then there comes a time where you just got to fall back and let your coaches coach. And that's exactly what was the issue with Emoni Bates here. When he originally enrolled in Memphis, his folks and he as well thought that he was just going to breeze through college basketball the way he was doing in high school and on the AAU circuit. And that was just completely further from the truth. College basketball is a whole different ball game. Like, you have to be able to buy in to what your coaches, whatever your coach's system is. And then from there, you can diversify your game and showcase yourself at that point. Emoni and his folks thought it was going to be like an AAU type of thing, and it fell flat on his face. And now they were just trying to save grace. But I'm pretty sure all those interests that they had that wasn't mutual on the other end, they basically were all saying the same thing. Like, bro's going to have to work to crack the rotation. Not even just getting minutes, but just crack the rotation, period. And it's a shame, because at this point in time right now, he should be a senior in high school doing this thing. But, but what is greater than what else, as we always say. So at the end of the day, man, from a Memphis perspective, we're good. I wish Emoni well. Don't be surprised if you see him trying to get to the draft combine, if he averages 20 or something at Eastern Michigan next season, at the end of next season. But it's a tough fall from grace, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just gotta let your coaches coach, man. And I'll pass it to Sheedy, since he just got back in there.
Yeah, I was. My apologies. I had to go to Carolina real quick to check on LeVar Ball and the Panthers. But
you say what's up to Melo?
No, I didn't.
Did you happen to
Did you
run
run
by-
into Michael Jordan instead?
I did.
what about Bridges? Did you happen give him a call or something?
Yeah, I did.
That's
I told him
great.
about what he did. That was disgusting. His career's done, by the way. What I will say is, speaking of being done, Emoni Bates wasn't going to get what he needed in Memphis. And one thing that, you guys have talked about before, but coming literally from my standpoint, as being a father that coaches their son, I have to humble myself, and I can't wait to humble myself. Like, I don't want to coach my son. I want my coaches to coach my son or my daughter. And that is not being done because it's that pressure. Like, he's entitled because he's this great of a player. He's a 5-star, 4-star recruit. So his family feels they should be doing a certain thing. And like you said earlier, Sharky, Penny just wasn't going. But at the end of the day, no one's saying if we have a healthy Emoni Bates and everything else is fine, we keep going in the the playoffs and the college last season. We never said that. It wasn't Emoni Bates who, I don't want to say causes the game, but if our big stay out of foul trouble, this, that, and the third. But neither here nor there, and we ran into a better team. Emoni Bates doesn't move the needle for Eastern Michigan either. I don't even know what division they're in. For real. But he doesn't really move the needle. But what he does do goes back home and is able to legitimately be a star, like how he was, to you guys' point about his AAU circuit. When he was a star, cameras flashing, he wasn't getting that in Memphis because there were so many other players that were talented and more talented than him that he wasn't seeing even the court, even when he was healthy or not healthy as well. But Eastern Michigan, literally someone messaged me from Eastern Michigan that I know and was like great about getting Emoni Bates. I told him, and like, I can't even name you anybody else from Eastern Michigan at all. Like, at all. I don't even know what y'all's colors are. But congratulations on getting Emoni Bates and move on. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kat.
What are they colors?
All right, Schooling with Sheedy moment for me, man. I just looked up what conference they in. Mid-American Conference.
Mid-American.
What's their colors?
I'll take your homework.
Colors?
What's another notable team in
know
that
about
conference?
that now.
Somebody makes the tournament from that conference. What's another notable team?
Buffalo.
Okay.
Okay. They have
All right.
Bowling Green and Toledo, Ball State, Kent State, Northern Illinois.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk about a Power 5, huh? Yeah.
They got the same color as Michigan State. That's a real original.
They showed. I was about to say that.
Wow, in the same state?
That's original. Oh
well. Some of y'all have touched on it, but I'm going to make sure that this button is pressed in terms of, I think that the problem in this entire situation, out of Emoni Bates, it wasn't Penny Hardaway, it was his dad. His dad pushed his son to do things that I feel like he was not comfortable with. He pushed his son to do things that he probably didn't want to do, in terms of reclassifying, coming out of high school early, pushing him to say when he should not make a decision of what school he wanted to go to, probably pushing him, let's be real about it, probably pushing him to a school that he probably did not need to go to. And that is, not taking a shot at Memphis, but maybe Emoni Bates did not need to be in Memphis, in terms of his dad wanted him to be more on the ball. His dad wanted him to run point. And the reason, Trevor, why we raved about Emoni Bates when he was in high school was his ability to shoot the ball. I didn't, when we watched highlights, when we watched clips of Emoni Bates in high school, right before and after he decided to come to Memphis, I was like, he's shooting a cover off the ball. Like, look at the stories that were written about him. Look at the articles that was written about him. There were talks about him being the next Kevin Durant, him being the next LeBron James, him being the next Michael Jordan. Yes, that's a bit too much. But at the end of the day, the man had talent. And when he got to Memphis, his dad wanted him to be more on the ball. His dad wanted him to run an offense. And that's where he struggled. Where he shined the most when he was at Memphis, when we saw games, was like, oh, that's the Emoni Bates we're looking for, It was the Emoni Bates that was off the ball. It was the Emoni Bates that was spotting up and being able to shoot the ball when he was open or when he was contested. It was him sometimes being able to, make a play off the dribble and pulling up and making a jumper. That's the Emoni Bates that we need to see. If you go back, the very last game that Memphis played against Gonzaga, I think it was either that game or maybe the game before, where he had a stretch where he had like a jumper, he had a three, he had a pull-up jumper. Like, that's what we wanted to see. But because his dad was, let's be real about it, his dad was in the stands at Memphis games yelling at Penny Hardaway, yelling at players, yelling at, people on the staff, him doing things or him telling Emoni Bates to do things, which is technically, again, Emoni Bates, from what I heard and from what I noticed, because I pretty much went to every game, Emoni Bates was not hurt. The stretch in which he did not play because of a back injury, the man was playing 20 minutes a game. There was at no point did we ever see that he was hurt. At no point did we ever see him get, like, his game just like suddenly like just take a fall. His dad led him to say, we're going to pull you out of school. We're going to take you back home to Michigan to see a back doctor, which why in the hell you couldn't see that in Memphis, right? I don't get that. The biggest thing at the end of the day, it was his dad. He has to, at some point, parents, let's take it back to Fatherhood 101. At some point, you have to step out of the way and let your kids do what's best for them. If you feel like it's not the best decision for them, then at the end of the day, you said that was your decision. Here's what we can do to bounce back from it. Here's that. But I just feel like they didn't do that. However, I'm happy for Penny Hardaway in terms of he did give in to the pressure of hearing folks from the media say, "Oh, we probably need to take him back, or we probably need to let him get a spot on the roster." Penny Hardaway stood firm, probably for the first time since he's been a coach at U of M, and said, I'm going to stick with my gut. If I don't want somebody on the team, I'm going to go with it. And in my opinion, I feel like it was the best thing in terms of you're bringing some players back from last year's roster who probably in some form or fashion didn't have an issue with Emoni Bates, but had an issue with his dad. And nobody, even as a parent that has a son on the same team, you don't want to deal with that all the time. So I feel like Penny Hardaway did the best thing in terms of he put this team and he put this roster together by himself, as he was also putting a coaching staff together. He got the players that he did. He recruited his butt off. But I think his biggest thing on this recruiting trail was saying, Emoni Bates, is best if you don't come back. And I appreciate him for that.
Yeah, I mean,
we got to get a Draymond Green new media drop or something, because that was.
Yep. Most definitely.
Well, like we said, man, good luck to your money. Hopefully his dad slow up, but hey, we'll see. We're going forward.
I'm telling you, Bird gonna average 20. They ain't gonna go nowhere, and then before you know it, he's gonna be at the draft combine just because. If he gets, even if he even gets an invite, I'm just gonna put it like that.
Yep. But let's move on to the West Coast that's trying to come to the East Coast or wherever side the Big Ten is at, the North, Northeast, Central America, Central North, wherever. USC and UCLA moving to the Big Ten. They showed the map of the schools in the Big Ten to show USC and UCLA the other day. And yeah, 2024. So just like Oklahoma and Texas moving to the SEC, USC and UCLA moving to the Big Ten. And wasn't the Pac-12 turned into like a mega conference, like a 16 teams? So I guess that's done. I don't know what's going on. Big Ten, SEC, about to take control of the whole college football. The fact you got two West Coast teams going all the way out to the Big Ten, bro. Like, what's y'all thoughts?
That is powerful. Go ahead, Lee.
I want to go first because I may be in the total minority when I say this. I'm happy for it. I'm happy for it because I'm happy for it because if nothing else, it boils down to these players and these athletes will continue to get paid. That's what it's all about. It's this UCLA and USC being moved to the Big Ten. Yes, it's not the most ideal thing when it comes to they're going to have to travel, when it comes to them playing every Saturday or maybe every other week or something like that. Yes, that's not ideal. But at the end of the day, college football is absolutely printing money. That means there's going to be more money available for these athletes. It's going to be an opportunity for them to make as much money as they can because it's not guaranteed that they're going to the league. It's not guaranteed that they're going to be able to ever see this money again. So, yes, it's not ideal when it comes to them having to travel. But if it's going to lead more money into Aiden being able to, make some, millions of dollars in college, if it leads to somebody's son on this podcast or somebody's daughter on this podcast being able to make multi-million-dollar or multi-$1,000, to go to college, I'm cool with it. I could care less because at the end of the day, I'm all for NIL. I'm all for athletes getting paid because these campuses and these college universities absolutely robbing these athletes, even to this day. So I'm for it. I have no issue with it whatsoever.
I have no issue with it whatsoever either. So you're not in the minority there for that exact same reason. Like, it's just me, more money's being printed, which means more players going to start getting paid, which means, hey, we're going to get to a point where you're going to have to start signing these college athletes to contracts. That's exactly what's about to be the case. I'm just looking forward to that first game where USC or UCLA has to play against Ohio State or Michigan in like November or December in the snow. That is going to be something exciting, and I'll take my stab. That's probably the first exciting thing about the Big Ten outside of Michigan, Ohio State. I'm just going to be honest with you, but yeah, in the end, man, I have no issue with it, man. I know a lot of folks were talking about where this is going to eventually lead with Memphis, because Memphis looks like it's on the outside looking in once again. But of course, with this happening, and then previously with Cincinnati and I believe Houston moving to the Big 12, I believe in the next couple of years as well. And then of course with Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. But I'm all for it, man. It just means more money being passed out, more athletes getting paid. I'm just ready for that first matchup in the snow for USC or UCLA, whoever it may be. That's all I'm really looking forward to at this point. Just that first matchup against Michigan, Ohio State in the snow. That's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I think what this does is this trends to different types of recruiting too for USC and UCLA possibly. But I mean, they get the big Samoans though, to be honest. So they should be okay. But like I said, it's different when it's in the snow. Again, I'm also okay with this. The only thing that I would not be okay with is, damn, when are we going to either change the name of Big Ten or get rid of some of these other teams? Because before these two teams even get added, we're already at 12 teams, right? We're really the Big 12, and the Big 12 was really the Big 10, literally in regards to the amount of teams. And so to me, I just name change or get rid of, like, Indiana, Illinois, Rutgers, and some few others that, we can get rid of, unless, like, if we're going to make the Big Ten like a suitable type of conference, you keep your Ohio State, you keep Wisconsin, even, like, really, like, they're okay. You get these two, Michigan State's contenders, and get rid of those other teams. Nebraska can go. You know what I'm saying? So, like, just shrink up the conference a little bit more, but also, like, do we just need to dissolve the Pac-12? Because after these two teams go, you got Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon and Stanford. That's it.
Yeah,
and maybe Stanford. So
I feel it's becoming the alliance. I guess it just, I don't know what's about to go on.
Yeah,
it's over with. Like, they literally aren't even going to be the Pac-12 no more. I think they were already down to 10 teams anyway, and then now they're going to be down to like 8, unless they add some, like, Weaver College or something like that to their division. But and by the way, Oregon don't scare nobody in no playoff championship anything. So I digress. I'm sorry.
Oh, you good, bro? I'm gonna keep it quick, bro. It's like I came to Memphis like a couple of days ago, and like my body's still getting used to it. So I feel bad for these USC and UCLA players that gotta wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning to go play some football. So their body's still on 8 o'clock in the morning time, like, for the conference. Hey, they got to do
not as much as USC and UCLA will bring.
Right now, these shoes.
These about to say that. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They forming mega conferences now. This ain't. But you go to.
No, I'm saying, like, just like I'm just putting myself in a player's perspective. Like, that's gonna be crazy. Like, these two having to go. It's gonna be crazy. Like, I'm one to look at the travel because, like I said, I'm putting myself in a. I barely got up this morning. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that these guys got to go from California all the way to Ohio, Michigan, wherever the hell they finna go play, it's gonna be crazy. But I mean, like I said, it does bring money to the revenue.
It'll make you feel so much better if you got paid $2 million to go from Phoenix to Memphis, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There you go. There you go. If somebody paid you to make that trip and you're going to play a football game or a basketball game for a couple of hours, that turnaround time will probably feel a little bit better to you. You'll be able to wake up a little bit earlier, knowing that. I mean, I am about to get paid at the end of the day.
Hey, you dang need to be the first one to the airport. So
He ain't like that. He ain't like that guy. He ain't like class that important.
Exactly. Hey, no, you paying somebody what $100 to sit in class for you. So
Right, man. That folks know.
And these schools are loaded. They're not busting that trip. They are flying. They're flying that.
Oh man, it better not be busting that trip. It's gonna take you a couple of days.
Man, what?
Oh man, that's all I want to say, man. It'll bring money to the conference for sure, but man, them kids gonna be mad. But like you said, they going for $2 million. I ain't got too much to be mad about.
Right.
I need to look up the like injury numbers on like early morning games though. Like, I think that would be something to kind of look at statistically though. If we are talking like a let's be real kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's just me.
the time zones definitely hurt depending on times of the games and stuff because you're used to this time, then you have to go all the way to this coast and be used to another time. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody just have a problem with it. I think the big question has been like the conference alignment, like what's about to happen, because the Pac-12 was about to become 16 teams and they're about to form the alliance. But now they left and went to Big Ten, so it's like is the Big Ten and SEC about to become just two huge mega conferences with 50 plus teams, and it's gonna become like the NFL essentially, like divisions. Like you're gonna have two conferences and like ALC, AOC, and beating divisions. So ain't no telling what college football is headed, but this is definitely like one of those like random things that happen. And I just have no idea what the landscape is about to be going forward.
And I also feel like if nothing else, this eliminates the Ohio State and like Rutgers games at 10 o'clock. Like let's do with it. Like sign me up for like Ohio State and USC at like 6 or 7 o'clock. Like I'm tired like
in the snow. Thank you.
Money.
Thank you.
Money, and we there with it.
Tired of seeing Ohio State
versus Indiana
versus Wisconsin or Indiana or Connecticut. Like we ain't even tell them we over it.
And it's 21. And it's 21-0 before the end of the first quarter.
And we're selling every ticket, by the way. Every ticket sold out.
Oh man! But before we head off, man, we got your boy Trevor. We got a celebrity boxing match coming up real quick that you definitely have first for. I just need you to kind of go in.
Yeah.
No. UFC 276, ladies and gentlemen, is happening tonight.
UFC 276 is
wait.
For my WWE for my WWE fans out there, Money in the Bank is tonight also. I'll be watching those two. Phone will be on Do Not Disturb. So check those out, my wrestling and MMA fans. But outside of COVID-19, there's another pandemic that's just seeping through this country, and that is celebrity boxing, man. I don't know who or what just decided that former athletes or people in pop culture, if they have issues with each other or if they're trying to make a quick check, it's just like throw on some boxing gloves and get in the ring. And it's just like straight disrespectful to the real sport of boxing because all that attention could be going towards that, because there are some notable names in boxing, but we're not paying attention to them for, I don't know, maybe they're not as outlandish as Floyd was, or Tank Davis is probably the closest at this point. But the most recent celebrity boxing match that's about to come up is one former NFL great running back and another one who hasn't been the same since he stopped wearing black and yellow. Le'Veon Bell and Adrian Peterson in a celebrity boxing match. Now, I spoke about this in the group meet. This would actually be good from an entertainment standpoint if you just took them out of the boxing ring and just put it in somebody's backyard during the cookout. That way, everybody can just roast everybody. You can roast the cooking, you can roast them for fighting, whatever. But to actually put boxing gloves on them and put them in a ring and actually put this behind a paywall, because people are going to be paying possibly for this fight. I actually won't, and I'm probably not going to even use one of my links, which I now will not reveal on this, to even watch this for free, because this is just ridiculous. Now, has celebrity boxing brought us some great moments? Yes. National treasure Snoop Dogg on commentary, Nate Robinson getting knocked out. Yes, it's brought us some great moments, but this needs to go. Versus, if you want to rebrand yourself as this, you can do that. But this, along with Versus, this is just as bad as the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm just gonna let it go because
First of all,
y'all
Nate
got
Robinson went to sleep.
y'all got
Let's go
something
back
to
there.
say on it. Go right ahead.
I absolutely do, because I disagree with you on this one. We grew up in a culture where we wanted to see certain celebrities, certain people fight, and we was like, well, let's go. They ain't gonna do it. They ain't gonna box. And now we're finally here, and you said we don't want it. No, exactly.
Right.
Now we actually get that in real time with real actual people. Nah, man, that's for one. And for two, on a serious note, it's like the WNBA don't stop me from watching the NBA. Big Three don't stop me from watching the NBA. Summer League don't stop me from watching the NBA. So college football don't stop me from watching NFL. So what does this have to do with boxing?
Yeah, you lost me on that one.
Just put them in their.
You should have saw y'all's faces. It's funny.
Those are professional.
Right.
Let's not do that. Those
Okay,
are
if you're gonna
professional
do-
athletes.
dude,
Ain't
if you're gonna
nobody
do something
trying to
like
watch
But
Le'Veon
my
Bell.
thing is, like, if you're watching boxing as a form of entertainment, then it's like, why not get entertainments to continue to entertain you and get their head knocked off?
The problem is, to what Trevor said, they got a paywall up for this. They are charging people who are in a pandemic where there's inflation. That is true. They are charging.
They charging for everything. They charging $5 for bread now, bro. They charge for everything now.
People paying for it.
Exactly.
Why are you charging me?
Regardless.
But people are paying for it.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. People are paying for it. So they want to see it.
Somebody want to see it.
Celebrity Deathmatch was ahead of its time because why? Because it was
somebody
free. It was
If
free.
somebody is spending
Yeah,
U.S.
y'all
American
cousins got to
dollars
pay
on
for it.
this fight, I question you as a person. Something is wrong with you.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Man, if I'm a
Like,
celebrity,
if you're
they
gonna
pay me a
do
deal to get
something
my
like
ass
this,
whooped, I'm
at
in that
least
ring, dog.
if you're gonna do something like this, at least put them in their profession. Like, put them in an Oklahoma drill in their backyard or something. Like I said, doing the cookout. Like, you can do something like that.
Nah,
Hey, at least do something in their profession. Like, don't disrespect boxing like this, man. Or if you're just gonna if you're gonna have them fight, just have them fight like Kimbo Slice did before he got on the UFC.
That old,
They're
that
more
old,
professional
old traditional
nowadays.
boxing is over with, man. People want to be entertained when they watch boxing at this point. When they want to watch fights at this point, it's just
Thank you, Ryan. Nobody asked for these two to put in, and nobody asked for Frank Gore and Darren Williams to box either. Nobody asked for Black
how many
China to
people
put boxing
watched it?
gloves on.
And how many
So
people
what?
watched it, though?
This is a
Y'all,
pandemic.
we still
man.
gonna watch it.
Yep.
We
And
still
still be
gonna
brought
watch it.
up.
We still watch Nate Robinson get his ass whooped and had a great time about it. It's entertainment. Bro.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it was
the
a
one
pandemic.
word.
Nothing else on. It was
nothing else on at that time. That was the one word.
Yeah, I used one of my links.
Oh,
exactly. Some stuff is on now. You got UFC tonight. We got stuff to watch.
Yeah.
like, don't let the numbers for this boxing thing be higher than UFC. We definitely.
Oh, it's I can tell you right now, it's not gonna be
I'm saying, don't let it. Don't let it though.
It's not. I know you.
Don't let it.
I don't even know why you fixed your mouth to say that it's not going to be higher than UFC 276. Thank you.
They probably want you to do the numbers for ridiculousness that comes on 24 hours straight, like on TV. Come on,
Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank would do better numbers than that, and WWE's roster is depleted right now with injuries. So.
Damn, Vince McMahon finna bounce. Ain't nobody finna watch no man. Nah, man. I wish we could have had Chris Brown and Soulja Boy back in the day boxing, bro. That would have been hilarious.
That's where it started with. It was supposed to be.
You know what? See, it's folks like you that started with that. Is why we're in this pandemic right now. So,
but shout out to people like me. Then we finna carry the world.
All right,
cut it. Yep, cut it.
Yeah, we gotta cut it, man. You might hit the phone not to enjoy. Thanks everybody tuning in. Ryan, man, as always. Tyler, thank you for tuning in. Y'all know y'all can follow us on Twitter. Follow me at @the1_P Shark.
I'm at _ not trolling anymore, thanks to Took. That's what my.
You got a practical controller no more.
You're right.
All right.
I'm at the Art of Trevor. Celebrity boxing is a pandemic. Get at me.
It's really shitty, and you gonna give up on the versus battles too?
It's at Tab Shakir, man. It's all the same. It's all entertained. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Somebody is.
Yeah, somebody else. That's true.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's entertainment for the wrong reasons. Like if we roasting people, yeah, but come on now. That just means something ain't go right. But
yep. Y'all catch us, Starting 5 podcast, talking about the Grizzlies at Starting 5, the number 5 MEM, and Check us out on Grizzly Bear Blues Podcast Network. Until next time, peace.
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 I saw